Hello friends. This is a small but important video about the latest Home Assistant update, version 2.0.5.12.0. As you can see, there are now beautiful snowflakes floating around in the interface, creating a New Year's mood. But along with this eye candy, some users after updating see a worrying notification saying that the syntax of template switches needs to be changed. At the same time, the templates themselves keep working as before. The system does not break. Home Assistant is simply politely warning that it is time to update the old format. In this video, we will figure out what exactly has changed and how to calmly, without rushing, bring the configuration in line with the new syntax. If you look into the Repairs section, you can immediately see where this warning comes from. There is a whole long list of entries saying that the template switch is deprecated. In general, we have already been through a similar situation when the developers migrated template sensors and binary sensors from platforms of the same name to the common template platform. Back then, the logic of operation remained the same, but it was necessary to gather all the code into a single common template section. Now exactly the same story is repeating with template switches. And if you still haven't migrated your sensors and binary sensors to the new format, their notifications will also end up here in this list. Now let's open one of these warnings and take a closer look at it. At the top, it clearly states that support for the old format will only be removed starting from version 2026.6, which means we still have a decent amount of time, and there is absolutely no need to panic. Below, the system already kindly shows a ready-made example of a new variant for this switch. Essentially, it is a corrected configuration fragment that only needs to be carefully moved into the appropriate section of your package or separate configuration file. But so as not to copy it blindly and then chase down errors, let's take a closer look at how this new format is structured and how it differs from the old one. To make it clearer in practice, let's not deal with some abstract example from the hint, but with a live configuration. On the screen, I have a package open that is used to schedule periodic operation of a boiler. I have already talked about it in detail in one of the previous video lessons. I will leave a link in the description under this video. Although this package is already more than 2 years old, all the changes related to migrating sensors and binary sensors to the common template platform were already taken into account back then, in the second half of 2023. By the time that lesson was recorded, the binary sensors already looked exactly as required by the new rules. Here is the template section where the binary sensors used in this package are listed. But as you can see, switches were not updated back then. Template switches were not yet supported by the common template integration, so they are declared in the old way, in a separate switch section with the template platform and a list of switches. These are exactly the entities that have now triggered the warning about the old syntax. Our task is to do with them exactly what we once did with sensors and binary sensors. Move their definition into the common template section so that the configuration fully complies with the new format. If you look at the definition of this template switch, everything is quite familiar here. Its name is specified, the friendly underscore name, then the unique underscore ID, and then the current state is defined via value underscore template, which simply mirrors the state of the corresponding binary sensor. Below, the actions on turning on are described, publishing the value on to the required MQTT topic, and the actions on turning off, sending off to the same topic. At the end, icon underscore template defines which icon should be displayed depending on whether the switch is on or off. It is important for us to preserve all these elements when we migrate this switch to the new template format. We will not move our switch somewhere separate, but into the template section that already exists in this package, where only binary sensors are currently described. If in your case it does not exist, then you create it. I scroll the file further down to the very end of the list of binary sensors in the template section. And right here, immediately after them, I create a new nested switch subsection in exactly the same way that the binary underscore sensor subsection is already structured above. In other words, the logic remains the same. There is a common template block, and inside it are separate groups for different types of entities. Here I simply copied one of the existing switches in its old form, exactly as it was declared in the separate switch section. Now it is physically located inside the new switch subsection in the template section, but essentially it is still the old syntax. Our task is to completely preserve its logic and appearance in the interface so that it works and looks exactly as before, but rewrite its definition using the new template switch format. And this is what the same switch looks like in the new format. As I mentioned earlier, you can take a ready-made variant directly from the pop-up notification window in the Repairs section and then slightly tweak it to suit your needs. For ease of reading, I slightly changed the order of the blocks to make it more logical. First, I have the unique _ID, the same one that the old switch had. Next comes its name. Then a default _entity_ID line appears. This is the full name of the entity. It already starts with the word switch, followed by its identifier. In the old variant, this name was effectively set in the first line, but without specifying the switch domain. Below, the state of the switch is defined. As before, it depends on the state of the corresponding binary sensor. After that come the turn_on and turn_off blocks, which describe the actions on turning on and off, writing the required values to the MQTT topic. And at the end, there is a block with the icon, which changes depending on whether the switch is on or off. So essentially, the operating logic and appearance have remained the same. Only the syntax and the arrangement of individual fields have changed. Now the old switch variant can be safely deleted, leaving only the updated definition in the new format. In this package, I have a few more similar switches, and for now they remain in the old form. That's not a problem. Home Assistant currently handles simultaneous use of both the old and new template syntax just fine, so the migration can be done gradually, without breaking the entire configuration at once, while also monitoring for possible errors. But before we reload all template entities and check the result, I will show you one more small life hack that significantly simplifies this kind of migration. And here is that very life hack. If I were to immediately reload the template entities now, the old switch would go into the unavailable status, and the new one would appear as a separate entity with the same name, but with it, too, appended at the end. In the interface and in all automations, the old variant would still be referenced, and nothing would work. That is why at this step, I instead temporarily remove the new format switch definition, together with the newly created switch subsection, since there is nothing else in it, yet besides this switch. Now we can move on to safely updating the configuration. I go to Developer Tools and select Reload Template Entities from the list. This allows you to apply changes in YAML without fully restarting all of Home Assistant, which is especially convenient if your system is in active use. After the reload completes, you can immediately see the result in the left menu. The notification counter decreases by 1. We have successfully cleared one warning about the old syntax. Now I go to the interface and open the very same panel where our switch was previously used. It is located in the top right corner and is called Kitchen Boiler Mode. As you can see, the switch is now grayed out and unavailable. This is that same old switch we just removed from the configuration. Home Assistant still remembers that such an entity existed, but can no longer find it in YAML, which is why it shows it as disabled. If we open this switch's card, we will see a warning at the top. The entity is no longer provided by the template integration. In essence, Home Assistant is telling us, I remember this switch, it is in my database, but it is no longer in the configuration. Because of this, its name and entity_ID are still considered taken, and when we try to create a new switch in the new format, the system does not allow it to use the same name and automatically adds _2 at the end. To fix this, we need to free up the old name. To do that, from this card we go straight to the entity's settings. Click the gear icon in the top right corner. In the settings, at the very bottom, there is a button to delete the entity. I click it, and Home Assistant, just in case, asks whether I really want to delete this switch. We confirm the deletion, and thus finally get rid of the ghost of the old switch in the system. Its entity_ID and name are no longer taken, and we can use them for the switch that is already defined using the new template syntax. I go back to the configuration and add our switch to the template section again, now in the new format, into the newly created nested switch block. Its definition now fully matches the current syntax, and its name and entity_ID are free. We remove the old ghost entity from the interface. After this, all that remains is to reload the template entities once more via Developer Tools, and the switch will appear in the system under its familiar name, without any 2 at the end. It will once again be available both in the interface and in all automations where it was previously used, but now it will work using the new template format. In the interface, our switch is back in its place, in the top right corner, fully active and working as intended. There was no need to touch any of the automations in which it was used. They continue addressing the same entity and behave exactly as they did before the update. The only difference is that the switch is now defined in the new template format. That's all. I hope this video was useful for you and helped you feel more relaxed about these changes in Home Assistant. I will be grateful for your likes. They help the channel's growth. If you don't want to miss new reviews and tutorial videos, subscribe. In the description under the video, you will find links to my social media and to a group for discussing smart home topics. Join in. You can always ask questions there and share your experience. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and peace to everyone.